Okay, just take a moment with me here. Imagine you're drifting off to sleep. That familiar feeling, right? The world kind of fades, and you slip into that dream space.
That weird fluid place where anything can happen.
Exactly. And as your subconscious starts doing its thing, weaving whatever weirdness it does, a face emerges, just
Okay.
appears.
Oh, okay.
It's a man. But here's the thing. You have absolutely never seen this guy before. Not in your waking life. Total stranger.
But he feels present.
Yeah, strangely present. Real, almost. Maybe he just stands there watching you, which is, creepy enough.
Uh-huh. Definitely unsettling.
Or maybe he leans in close and whispers something kind of chilling, cryptic. And it sticks with you, even after you jolt awake.
Okay, that's already a weird dream.
Right, but now, imagine this. A few days later, you're telling your friend about this weird dream, maybe over coffee or whatever.
Just sharing a strange experience.
Yeah, and out of nowhere, your friend gets this look on their face, like total recognition. And they start describing the exact same man, the same weird eyebrows, the same hairline, that specific unsettling smile you remember. They saw him too, in their dream.
Whoa. Okay, that's different. That's not just a weird dream anymore.
Not at all. Suddenly, you're hit with this really deep, unsettling question, right? Who is this guy?
Yeah, seriously. Is it just some bizarre coincidence? A collective hallucination, maybe?
Or, could it be something bigger, something fundamental about how our minds work, or maybe even reality itself, something, well, profound and honestly pretty unsettling.
And that, right there, is where we're headed today. Welcome, everyone.
The Commie Maid.
Today we are plunging headfirst into one of the strangest, most uncanny urban legends to bubble up in recent times, a story that really seems to smudge that line between your dreams and your reality.
We are talking about the phenomenon known simply as this man.
Get ready, because we're about to explore this incredible story of a single, very distinct face. A face reported in the dreams of literally thousands of people all across the globe.
And the kicker. Despite showing up in all these dreams, nobody seems to know who he is in the real world. No confirmed identity, no origin story we can pin down.
So our mission today isn't just to tell you a spooky story. We're going deeper. We're exploring those weird, maybe hidden connections between our minds.
Yeah, grappling with that really uncomfortable possibility of some kind of unseen presence, or at least an unexplained shared experience.
And really asking, are our dreams, our most private mental spaces, truly just our own? So buckle up. This is going to be a fascinating, maybe slightly unnerving journey.
All right, so to really get a grip on this man thing, we need to trace it back to where it all apparently started.
Where did the first reports come from?
The year was 2006, and the setting wasn't some, ancient temple or mysterious vortex. It was, believe it or not, a psychiatrist's office.
Really? Like a normal doctor's office?
A well-known psychiatrist in New York City, actually. A place for talking through problems, understanding the mind. Very clinical, very confidential.
Which almost makes it stranger, doesn't it? The ordinariness of it.
Exactly. It grounds the start of this incredibly strange phenomenon in a very real, very professional setting. That's where the first tremor was felt.
So what happened? What was the first instance?
Well, it began, like a lot of these things seem to, with just one person, a specific patient undergoing therapy.
Okay.
And she started drawing, meticulously drawing this face.
Yeah.
The face of a man she kept seeing over and over in her dreams.
Drawing him. Wow. So she had a clear image.
Apparently very clear. But here's the absolute key part, the detail that just sends a chill down your spine.
What's that?
She insisted, absolutely adamant. She had never seen this man in her waking life. Not once.
Never. So completely unfamiliar, yet recurring vividly in dreams.
Precisely. That immediate disconnect. The dream felt real, the face was specific, but there was no real-world counterpart she could identify. That was the first little crack, the first sign something unusual was afoot.
Okay, so one patient has recurring dreams of a stranger. That's maybe weird, but perhaps explainable.
You'd think so, right? But then, just a few days later, something happens that kind of blows explainable out of the water. Call it chance, call it synchronicity, call it something else.
What?
Another patient comes into the same office, totally unrelated to the first patient.
Okay.
And the drawing, the one the first patient made, is apparently just there. Maybe on the psychiatrist's desk, maybe pinned up somewhere.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the second patient sees it and doesn't just glance at it. They react. like stunned recognition.
No way.
Yes way. Apparently gasped, pointed, and basically exclaimed, "Hey, I've dreamed of that man too."
Get out. The same man, identified from a drawing made by a stranger.
The exact same man. Spontaneously, unprompted,
Just
immediate recognition from a dream.
Okay, stop right there. The odds of that, that has to be minuscule, right?
Astronomically small, you'd imagine.
Yeah.
Two people, no connection, dreaming of the same unknown face, and then confirming it through a drawing in the same therapist's office days apart.
That changes everything. That's not just a personal quirk anymore.
Exactly. That single moment shifted it from a therapist's interesting case note into an immediate, shared, and utterly inexplicable event. It was the first concrete piece of evidence that something truly strange was happening. A shared vision.
So the psychiatrist must have been, well, freaking out a little, or at least incredibly intrigued.
Definitely intrigued. Probably a bit unsettled, too. I mean, this isn't standard psychiatric fare. So they did what any curious, maybe slightly unnerved professional would do.
Which was?
They started sharing the drawing. Discreetly, with colleagues. Other professionals in different cities and different states, eventually even other countries.
Just sending the picture out asking, have you seen this guy? Sort of thing?
Essentially, yeah. More like, has any patient reported dreaming of someone who looks like this? Just a professional query, saying this was an isolated incident or something more.
And the response. Please tell me it wasn't just those two people.
Oh, it wasn't just those two people. Not by a long shot. The responses started coming back, and they were, well, astonishing.
How so?
Consistent. Chillingly consistent. More and more patients in completely separate therapy settings, hundreds or thousands of miles apart, started saying, yes, I've seen him. That's the man from my dreams.
Wow. So it wasn't just New York. It was spreading. Or the reports were spreading.
Exactly. It quickly became clear this wasn't a local anomaly. It was independent corroboration popping up everywhere. It defied any simple explanation.
It really does sound like some kind of dream contagion.
That's a good way to put it. It turned isolated coincidences into a genuine, widespread mystery. It strongly hinted at some kind of invisible thread connecting people's subconscious minds across vast distances, something operating way below our conscious awareness.
So with all these reports coming in, what happened next? How do they even keep track?
Well, things escalated. As the sheer number of accounts grew, someone launched a dedicated website, thisman.org.
A website for this dream man.
Yep. Its whole purpose was basically to act as a central hub, a place to collect these stories, collate the descriptions, allow people from anywhere to report their own encounters and see if they matched.
That gives it a whole new level of public presence, doesn't it? Makes it feel more real in a way.
It definitely did. It allowed people to see the scale, to realize they weren't alone in this bizarre experience. But, it also potentially created something else.
What's that?
Well, a kind of digital echo chamber, maybe? The very existence of the site, seeing all those other reports, could that subtly influence people? Plant the suggestion.
Ah, right. So the site itself could become part of the phenomenon influencing later reports. That adds another layer of complexity.
It absolutely does. Makes it even harder to figure out what's purely organic and what might be influenced by suggestion.
But even with that caveat, the initial spread before the website really took off, that was global.
Oh, massively global. Reports were documented coming in from all over. Think big cities like Los Angeles, São Paulo, Tehran, Berlin.
Wow, that's incredibly diverse.
Yeah.
Culturally, geographically.
Exactly. It wasn't limited to one type of person, one culture, one region. It seemed to cut across all those boundaries, which, again, just deepens the mystery. It suggests whatever this man is, it resonates on a very fundamental human level.
And the description remained consistent across all these different places and people.
That's the truly mind-boggling part. Yes, despite the huge diversity of the dreamers, different ages, backgrounds, life experiences, the core description of this man stayed remarkably the same.
Like, what specific features kept coming up?
The most commonly reported things were those distinct, kind of bushy eyebrows, a very specific receding hairline, and this really unsettling, awkward smile. Almost a smirk, but off.
Okay, that's not vague at all. That's specific detail.
Right, it's not just a man. It's this man with these features. How does such a specific non-archetypal face, he's not exactly a universal symbol, get replicated so precisely in so many different minds without any, real-world connection?
Yeah, that fidelity is the real puzzle. It pushes it beyond just random dream weirdness.
It really does. What is it about that face? Is there something subliminal about it? Does it trigger some deep shared memory or symbol? we don't consciously recognize?
Maybe it feels familiar in a way you can't quite place.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
But that consistency, that specific combination of features appearing again and again, that's the absolute bedrock of this mystery.
Yeah.
It's not just that people dream of strangers, it's that so many dream of the same stranger. It begs for an explanation beyond chance. It points towards, well, something connecting us.
Okay, so dreaming of the same face is weird enough. But did he? Did he do anything in these dreams? Or just appear?
Well, that's where it gets even more chilling, actually. He wasn't always just a passive observer standing in the corner of the drink.
Oh.
Sometimes he interacted, he spoke, he delivered messages. And these interactions, they weren't just weird dream logic. They sometimes seemed to bleed into the dreamer's waking lives in profound ways.
Bleed into waking life.
These weren't just fleeting images you forget by breakfast. People reported these encounters as being deeply impactful, emotionally charged. They left people feeling seriously unsettled, disturbed, even fundamentally changed by the experience.
Changed how? Give me an example.
Okay, there's one really specific, quite famous report. A woman remembered dreaming of this man, and in the dream, he spoke to her. Very directly.
What did he say?
He looked right at her with that same weird gaze and said, clear as day, you must leave your husband. He's hiding something.
Whoa, that's incredibly specific and intrusive.
Right. Imagine waking up from that. The dread, the confusion. She apparently tried to brush it off initially, just a bad dream.
There's a but, isn't there?
There is. About a week later, partly fueled by the unease from the dream, she started digging around, felt something was off, and she discovered her husband was having an affair. A secret he'd been hiding.
No! Seriously, the dream told her.
The dream figure told her, and it turned out to be true. So what do you even make of that?
I don't know, is that precognition, some kind of psychic message? Or just the most unbelievable coincidence imaginable?
Exactly. How does a dream figure, this supposedly non-existent man, have access to that kind of intimate, real-world information and deliver it as a warning? That report really pushes the phenomenon towards something potentially supernatural or predictive. It suggests agency, intelligence almost.
Okay, that's one incredibly chilling example. Are there others like that where he interacts?
Yes, definitely. Another really visceral one involves someone having that classic falling nightmare.
Yeah.
Plummeting from a huge height like a skyscraper.
Ugh, horrible. That feeling of absolute terror and no control.
Right. Total dread, ground rushing up. But as they're falling, they look up, and there he is. This man, standing completely still on the rooftop, just watching, silent, immobile.
Just observing the fall. That's somehow worse.
Isn't it? That detached observation.
Yeah.
But then, right before the dreamer hits the ground, right at the peak of the terror, this man leans over slightly. Or maybe the words just appear in the dreamer's mind. A single cryptic message. It's not your time yet.
It's not your time yet. Wow. And then what? Did they wake up?
Woke up instantly. Heart pounding, the words echoing. So in this case, he's not just watching. He's like a figure of fate, some kind of cosmic arbiter.
Yeah, like he has some authority over life and death in the dream world, maybe even intervening in a way.
It positions him as this powerful, almost godlike observer who can pronounce judgment or maybe offer protection. It raises huge questions about who or what he represents within the dreamscape. Is he a guardian, a judge, just a messenger?
The consistency, though, not just of the face, but of the feeling he leaves behind.
Absolutely. When you look at the sheer volume of accounts, what really stands out is the shared emotional response.
Yeah.
Overwhelmingly, people report a deep sense of unease. Sometimes it's outright fear, sometimes just profound confusion that lingers for days after the dream.
Like the dream has residue that sticks to your waking thoughts.
Precisely. It's not just dismissed as, oh, weird dream. It feels significant, specific, and emotionally loaded. People often feel like they were specifically visited, singled out, even if they have no idea why.
So the big question hanging over all of this, for you listening right now, maybe thinking about your own weird dreams, how do we explain that shared feeling, that widespread unease, the goosebumps so many people report just from seeing this one face in their sleep?
It really suggests something more than just random brain firings, doesn't it? It hints at a shared vulnerability, maybe, a common psychological trigger. Or maybe that our inner worlds aren't quite as walled off as we like to think.
Which naturally leads us to the theories. Given how utterly bizarre this all is, people must have come up with explanations, right?
Oh, absolutely. A whole range of theories popped up, trying to make sense of this man, and they really run the gamut.
From what to what?
From, established psychological concepts, trying to explain it through brain function, all the way to theories that are firmly in the paranormal supernatural camp.
A broad spectrum.
Very broad. And it's really important to state up front. None of these theories, not one, has definitively solved the mystery. There's no single explanation that neatly ties up all the loose ends.
Which just keeps that sense of unease going, I suppose.
Exactly. The lack of a clear answer is part of what makes it so enduringly creepy.
Okay, so let's dive into them. What's the first major theory?
All right, one compelling idea comes from the world of psychology, specifically from Carl Jung. It's the concept of the collective unconscious.
Jung. Okay, I've heard of that. What's the basic idea?
So Jung believed that beneath our personal unconscious, our own forgotten memories, repressed stuff, there's a deeper layer, a shared layer.
Shared by who?
By all humans. It's like an inherited reservoir of memories, images, and universal patterns, he called them archetypes, that are common across all cultures and times. Think of things like the mother figure, the hero, the shadow, basic blueprints of human experience.
Okay, so how does this man fit into that?
Well, the theory goes, maybe this man is a modern manifestation of one of these ancient archetypes.
Like which one?
Could be several possibilities. Maybe he's the stranger archetype, the unknown figure who brings change or challenge, or the observer representing our awareness of being watched, or our own self-scrutiny.
Or maybe the shadow, the parts of ourselves we don't acknowledge.
That's another strong possibility. Or even, paradoxically, given some reports, a kind of wise old man figure delivering cryptic advice. The idea is this face is tapping into a pre-existing template in our shared psychic structure.
So this theory suggests we're all connected on this really deep, unconscious level, pulling from the same pool of images.
Pretty much. It implies our minds are way more interconnected than we realize, capable of accessing these shared mental landscapes. It's a fascinating idea.
It is, but
Yeah.
there's always a but, isn't there? There's another theory, a much more, cynical one.
Yes, the counter-narrative. The theory that the whole thing was a hoax.
A hoax, like deliberately faked.
Exactly. The claim is that the entire this man phenomenon, the website, the story spreading, it was all orchestrated, specifically by an Italian sociologist and marketing guy named Andrea Nutella.
A marketer. Why would he do that?
Well, Nutella is known for projects that blur art, marketing, and social commentary, sometimes called prankvertising. The theory suggests this was a giant social experiment
But prove what?
to test the power of viral marketing and mass suggestion, especially in the early-ish days of the widespread internet around 2006. Could he create a myth? Could he implant an idea, an image, into the collective consciousness and make people believe they were experiencing it spontaneously?
So he basically claims he invented this man and the website, seeded the story, and just watched it spread like wildfire.
That's the allegation, yes.
Yeah.
To demonstrate how easily mass hysteria or collective belief could be manufactured online. A kind of proof of concept for psychological manipulation on a grand scale.
Okay, that's deeply unsettling in a completely different way.
Isn't it? Because here's the really creepy twist. Even if it started as a hoax, what does it say about us, about our minds?
Yeah.
If the idea of this man, just a story and a picture, was powerful enough to actually make people start dreaming about him genuinely, then the hoax itself revealed something profound.
So, which is worse? A genuine shared psychic phenomenon, or proof that our subconscious minds are so easily hacked by a story?
That's the chilling question, isn't it? It highlights how fragile our perception of reality might be when faced with a compelling shared narrative. Are we experiencing something real, or are we just susceptible to suggestion? It really makes you wonder.
Okay, so we have Jungian archetypes, and we have a potential marketing hoax. What other explanations are there? Something more biological or neurological?
Yes, there's a more grounded psychological theory focusing on how the brain processes information, particularly faces, sometimes called psychological pattern matching or facial synthesis.
Facial synthesis, what does that mean?
The basic idea is, think about how many faces you see every single day. Hundreds, thousands maybe. On TV, walking down the street, scrolling online. Just fleeting glimpses mostly.
Right, a constant stream of faces.
Our brains are constantly absorbing this visual data, even if we don't consciously pay attention to every single person.
Okay, so it's stored somewhere.
Right. And the theory suggests that when we sleep, our brain, freed from conscious logic, starts playing with this data.
Yeah.
It pieces together fragments: an eyebrow from one person, a hairline from another, a mouth from someone else seen weeks ago.
Like making a collage out of face parts.
Exactly. It synthesizes a new face from all these stored fragments, a face that feels distinct, maybe even familiar yet unfamiliar, But it's entirely a creation of the sleeping brain assembled from real but disconnected inputs.
That sounds plausible, actually, for why someone might dream of a specific seeming stranger.
It does explain the feeling of specificity, yes, but it hits a major stumbling block with this man, the consistency. If it's just random fragments being stitched together by individual brains, why would thousands of people all arrive at the same composite face?
Right. You wouldn't expect that level of identical replication across so many people if it was just random synthesis.
Exactly. You'd expect a vast multitude of different unique dream strangers, not this one a recurring figure with those specific features. So while pattern matching might explain some unfamiliar dream faces, it really struggles to account for the core mystery of this man's consistency.
Okay, so that theory has limitations too. Which brings us to, well, the really out there stuff.
Yep. Now we venture into the most speculative and, for many, the most unsettling possibility that this man isn't a product of our minds at all.
Meaning?
Meaning he's an actual external entity. Something real in a sense we don't fully understand.
Like what? A ghost? An alien?
The theories range. Maybe a dimensional traveler slipping between realities. Maybe a spirit or some kind of non-physical being. Maybe an entity that exists on a different plane and observes or interacts with us through our dreams, like looking through a thin veil.
Okay, we're definitely in paranormal territory now.
Deep in it. But the reason this theory persists, why it appeals to some, is that it directly addresses that gut feeling people have, that this is just too weird, too specific, too shared to be just psychology or a hoax. It suggests a conscious external force.
And the implications of that are huge.
Profoundly unsettling. The idea that something unknown, possibly powerful, can just enter our minds while we sleep, access our most private space. It challenges everything we assume about reality, consciousness, and security. It opens the door to a universe far stranger and more porous than we usually imagine.
So after running through all the archetypes, hoaxes, brain science, dimensional beings, where does that leave us? Is there any consensus?
Not really, and that's the crux of it. No single theory neatly explains everything. The Jungian idea struggles with the specificity of the face. The hoax theory struggles with the sheer volume and consistency of early reports, plus the why does the suggestion work so well question. The pattern matching fails on consistency, and the supernatural stuff is, well, inherently unproven.
So the mystery endures because no explanation fits perfectly.
Precisely. Each theory offers a potential lens, a piece of the puzzle, but none gives us the whole picture, and that lingering ambiguity is powerful.
Regardless of the why, the what remains baffling. So many people dreaming of the same stranger.
That's the bottom line. Whatever the ultimate explanation, the phenomenon itself, this shared intrusion into the subconscious, remains profoundly weird and fascinating. It forces us to confront how little we might actually know about our own minds and how they might connect.
So why should we, listening right now, care about this weird story? What's the takeaway beyond just a creepy anecdote?
Well, I think this deep dive isn't just about this man. It's really a prompt to question our own assumptions about reality, about consciousness, about what's possible.
It definitely sparks curiosity, right? Like, if this can happen, what else is going on in our subconscious that we're totally unaware of?
Exactly. What other connections exist? How thin is that line between our individual dream world and something collective or external? It's a potent reminder that our inner life might be far less private, far more mysterious than we assume.
And if dreams can be shared or influenced in this way? Wow. What does that imply about other forms of connection between people?
It's mind-bending, isn't it? How much of what we think of as me, my unique thoughts and feelings, is truly just mine? And how much might be flowing through some larger unseen network? It challenges the very idea of individuality.
Okay, so for anyone listening whose curiosity is seriously piqued now, is there anything practical they can do? Besides, hoping not to dream about him.
Well, there's something practical, actually. And it relates directly to exploring this dream territory. Start a dream journal.
A dream journal? Like writing them down?
Seriously?
Yeah.
Do it. Most people forget something like 90% of their dreams within minutes of waking up. Think about that. All that bizarre, symbolic, potentially insightful stuff just vanishing.
That's a huge amount of lost data from our own minds.
It really is. So make it a habit. Keep a notebook and pen or use your phone right by your bed. The absolute first thing you do when you wake up, before you even really think, just jot down everything you remember.
Details. Feelings.
Anything and everything. Faces, places, conversations, emotions, weird events, colors, sounds. Don't filter it. Don't try to make sense of it yet. Just get it down. Capture the raw dream material.
What about this, ma'am?
Well, here's the intriguing part. If, in your dream journaling, you ever do encounter someone who matches that description, the eyebrows, the hairline, the smile,
Yeah.
get a really good mental image, and then, maybe go look up that picture online. Compare them.
Just to see.
Just to see. Could be nothing. Could just be your brain doing weird things. Or maybe it's something more. Maybe it connects you to this strange, ongoing mystery. It's an experiment, if nothing else.
A slightly unsettling experiment.
Definitely.
And remember, sometimes that line between dream and reality, well, it's thinner than you think, just waiting for someone or something to step across.
So if this deep dive has given you the chills or sparked a memory or just made you intensely curious, we really want to hear about it.
Absolutely. Have you ever dreamed of someone you've never met? Someone who felt oddly specific or kept reappearing? Tell us about them. Share those weird dream stories.
We'd love to hear them.
Until our next deep dive, stay curious, stay weird, and maybe pay a little closer attention to who shows up in your dreams tonight.